Within the ancient realms of the Feywild and Shadowfell, a haunting tale weaves through the hearts of the Fey. It is a story of power, prophecy, and devastation. A history so dark that even the most powerful among them would rather it remain forgotten. To the Summer Court, nature is not a place or a concept. It is who they are. Whimsical and vibrant, the Summer Fae see themselves as the heart of life's bloom. They embrace growth in all forms, adorning their world in bright colors and floral patterns, even growing their own buildings from living trees. Yet, beneath their revelry lies a deep fear. Mortality terrifies the Summer Court, for the idea of an end is as unfathomable as it is chilling. This fear is what makes Torum's cold iron weapons, capable of killing Fey outright, such a haunting threat. In the cold reaches of the Winter Court, strength and survival are paramount. The Winter Fey value self-reliance and fiercely protect their independence, each a solitary force within the icy wastes. Among them, power struggles are constant, as the Archfey of Winter vie for dominance in a place where only the strongest thrive. Yet none dare to challenge Ludamir, the Moonlit King, who rules with a frozen heart. Here, isolation is not a curse, but a cherished freedom. The Shadow Fae, exiled to Sharikun, the Shadow Moon, see themselves as victims of a grave injustice. Blamed for decisions they did not make, they now live in a world devoid of color, their art and attire muted into endless shades of gray. These Fae embody bitterness and sorrow, forever scarred by their exile. Their isolation shapes them, rendering even their flesh gray and pallid, as if the shadows themselves have seeped into their very bones. Lastly, the Court of Rot stands apart from the others. They see life, death, and decay as sacred cycles, parts of a whole that cannot be separated. The Myconids of Rot are fragments of a single consciousness, pieces of the All-Mother's mind, and thus individuality is foreign to them. They move through the world as witnesses to nature's endless cycles, silent and observant, but ever-present. Their fairy circles a reminder that all things must return to the earth. Long ago, a prophecy shook the courts, a vision from Berkta, the Lady of Prophecy, who foresaw a being of mixed Fey blood who would bring about the destruction of all Feykind. In fear, the courts turned inward, closing their borders to Edagan, casting out those of mixed blood, and ending trade in magical reagents that the mortals of Edagan relied upon. Yet fear is never satiated, and soon distrust consumed them. In an act of desperation, the matron mother of the Shadow Fae summoned the forbidden domain Void, a god of emptiness, sealed away by the other domains at the beginning of time. Through the Void, she birthed the Darakul Plague, a twisted disease meant to halt the prophecy. The Void left its scars on her body and mind, but the cost to Edagan was even greater. The plague swept through the land, consuming mortal empires, driving civilization to ruin, while Arboreum remained untouched, a silent witness to the suffering below. Although the Queen of Summer had sanctioned this act, the courts could not ignore the devastation. The Shadow Fae were blamed, and a grim decision was made. They would be exiled to Sharikun, cut off from the Feywild. Thus began a war, 1,000 years of bloodshed, loss, and shame, a war that no Fey court dares to name. Even today, for many of the ancient Archfey, this decision remains their greatest regret. And now, in the present day, the politics of the Fey courts remain tense and divided. In the aftermath of Queen Sabrel's assassination, Ludamir, the Moonlit King, has seized control of the merged Court of Seasons. With Sabrel gone, he has militarized the Fey, preparing them for an invasion of Edagan to end Torum's threat once and for all. Some summer archfey, driven by fear of mortality or anger over Sabril's death, stand by Ludimir. Others, however, like Reynard the Fox Prince and the Grey Lady Fauthin, have splintered away, forming a summer court in exile. They rally around Sabril's memory, pledging loyalty to whomever holds her shard of the nature domain. Caidan Blackwing, Ludimir's loyal knight and the Winter Court's general, enforces Ludimir's orders with an iron fist, relishing the chance to bring Edagan to its knees. The cold iron weapons of Torum remain their deepest fear, for they hold the power to kill Fey truly, and can even sever an archfey from their domain shard. The specter of mortality looms, and Ludimir will stop at nothing to eradicate this threat. Meanwhile, the Shadow Fey await. With the ancient seals weakened, they have begun to slip through shadow roads into the realms beyond, their matron mother subtly pushing events to weaken the courts of Arboreum further. If the Shadow Fey fully break free, they will summon the domain void once more, bringing a new Darakul cataclysm to the Feywild and Edagan alike. The Court of Rot, silent for millennia, watches with unease. Ludimir's power grab, the return of Shadow Roads, and the looming threat of the Void disrupt the natural order, an order they hold sacred. Though they have intervened only once before, the All-Mother has begun to stir, and her myconids, the mushroom folk of the Forest of Spores, leave their silent circles across Edagan, a quiet warning that nature is watching. The tale of the Fey Courts is one of beauty and brutality, power and peril. As the balance tips once more, Edagan can only hold its breath, for the Fey have not yet finished with the world of mortals. Thank you for joining us. As always, I'm the Wednesday Wizard. Like and subscribe for more lore videos.